I don't want to do it to myself. And, you know, I will get around to it eventually, maybe, she says in a high-pitched voice, but... Hey guys, welcome back. So today I want to talk to you guys about books that I am no longer interested in reading. Now, before I dive in, I do want to give like a big fat asterisk, a caveat, a disclaimer, whatever you want to call it, to say that these are books that I'm not interested in reading right now. So I never want to say never, or I don't want to say that I'll never pick the books up, because as you guys know, I am a huge mood reader. But as of late, these are books that have just kind of waned in my interest, and I don't feel the same way about them that I did originally when I got them. So there's a few reasons why, or rather each book has its own reason why I am no longer interested in it. So I figured we can kind of go through and just talk about them. So as usual, please let me know in the comments if you have read any of these, or if maybe you are no longer interested in certain books, and if so, what books they are. I'm always interested to see if maybe you guys can like change my mind about some of these. But again, like I said, I'm a mood reader. There's a few reasons why I don't want to read these books anymore, and so let's just talk about it. So first up, we have Murder Undercover, which is part of the Bibliophile Mysteries. You guys have heard me talk about this series before, and I actually like this series. I was about to say really like, but my mind changed with the last book that I read, which is why I'm no longer interested in the next book in this series. And that is to say that the last book that I read in the series put a really bad taste in my mouth. It was very slow paced, which was very surprising because up until then I really enjoyed the series, but because of the experience that I had reading the last one and the fact that I like trudged through it, almost so that it almost put me in a reading slump, I think I'm gonna have to hold off on reading this for at least the time being. Next, we have In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. Now, if you guys have been around for a while, you know that I have listened to one or two of her books via audio, or maybe I read the other one. I'm not sure, but I've given her work a chance before, and unfortunately, I have found both of those books very slow moving, very slow paced, but not in a good way to where there's any kind of payoff. And because of that, I don't want to pick this up. I know that I said the last time I was talking about those books that I'm still going to give In a Dark, Dark Wood a try because I want to give her another shot. But again, those last books left such a bad taste in my mouth. I just did not resonate with her writing. And, you know, naturally authors have tones of voices or a particular writing style. And I'm wondering if I didn't like the other two books, or rather the writing style in those two books. I don't know if I'm gonna like it in this one. So for that reason, I'm gonna have to hold off on this for the time being as well. Next, we have The Arrangement, which one of my besties was kind enough to send me this, and I was really excited to read it. However, I learned that it's a domestic thriller, and as much as I like mysteries and thrillers, domestic thrillers are kind of the subgenre that I enjoy the least. And so I don't know if this book is necessarily going to resonate with me. Now, I know I'm making huge assumptions, obviously, because that's the whole point of this video, but I want to read what I know that I'm going to like, and I don't know if I'm going to love this enough to take the time commitment to read this, and so it's for that reason that it's probably going to have to go to the bottom of the pile. I'm not going to give it away or donate it just yet. In fact, I'm not going to give away any of these books just yet because, again, like I said, I'm a mood reader. I might change my mind, but as of now, I'm just like, I don't know. Okay, next. So these next two books I bought because of Bookstagram FOMO. I can't even lie. I have to finally admit that to you guys. In fact, I had to like dust this off before starting this video because that's how long it's been sitting. But The Starless Sea. I've heard great things about it, guys. I'm sure it's good. I never read The Night Circus, but that came highly recommended. This came highly recommended, and I went out and I ordered it, not necessarily right away, but very soon after all of the hype got into my head, and I was really pumped to read it. And then by the time I was in between books and I saw it sitting on my shelf, I'm like, do I want to take the time? I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't have anything against thick books. especially when the story is good. You guys already know how much I loved A Court in Thorn and Roses and that series and how big those books are. But this one, I'm just like, you know, I don't know. I'm not compelled in the same way anymore. And I feel like part of that is because I haven't been able to kind of peg down what type of book this is. I was talking to a friend of mine who suggested it to me in the first place, and she was trying to explain like the genre that it's in. And apparently there's like pirates and it's fantasy, but not quite fantasy. Like, it's very hard to describe. And I get that there are books like that, you know, you just have to check it out, and it's hard to give an accurate description because it's just so much more. But unfortunately, because there is that lack of concrete definition as to what this book is about, I don't know if I want to make that commitment. I don't want to go into it blind, at least not in this point in my reading preferences. And so it's for that reason why I'm gonna have to like slide this one out of the way. And that said, that brings me to my second FOMO, hashtag Bookstagram made me do it, whatever book. And it kind of pains me to say this because I talked about this book in December, I believe, before I actually got it, which it's The Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo, by the way, obviously. But I talked about how super excited I was to read this book. And the whole concept of it being like Harry Potter for adults, I don't even know if that's an accurate description because obviously I haven't read it, but that's how I've heard it being described. And that was enough of a hook for me to want to read it because I love Harry Potter. Obviously, I'm an adult, and so I am able to take and enjoy those darker themes. However, I just don't know if I am in that headspace. Well, I know for a fact I'm not in that headspace right now to deal with any kind of like dark witchcrafty whatever. And it's also set on a college campus, and so I don't want to necessarily categorize this as YA, but it does obviously deal with college age students. And I'm just, as of lately, I haven't been reading books where the characters are in college, that kind of new adult, young adult. Again, I'm just going based off of the age of the characters. I haven't been in that space to where I want to read about characters that age. And because of that, I don't want to do it to myself. And, you know, I will get around to it eventually, maybe, she says in a high-pitched voice. But as of right now, that's a no for me. So unfortunately, as much as this was like super hyped and I was very excited to read it, it definitely fizzled. So wah, wah. Next, oh boy, Pride and Prejudice. You guys know that part of my bookish resolutions was to read more classics, and I think I had in another video where I was confessing like my bookish things that I was ashamed of or whatever, and it was the fact that I'd never read Pride and Prejudice before. You know what? Life is too short, and in fact, let's talk about this. I have in here a bookmark on page 13. So I tried to get into it, and I just don't care. I feel like a lot of it has to do with the fact that I know what the story is about. I've seen numerous renditions, and because I know that each of those renditions, at least cumulatively, or maybe one of them more so than the other, they go beat by beat with what the story is about, it's going to be hard for me to want to focus, knowing that I'm already going to know the outcome. Now, I'm sure her writing has been praised for being wonderful and lyrical and everything, and I can definitely give props to that, but unfortunately, it's hard for me to read along with it. I don't know if it's because of the period in which she wrote this, or maybe it's just the way that she has written it. I can't remember off the top of my head another classic that I have read, but I found this just a little hard, well, more than a little hard to get into, and it's for all of those reasons that I mentioned before. Like the writing, I can't just lose myself because I have to do a little bit of interpretation just in terms of the vocabulary that she uses, and then also the fact that I know what's going to happen, so I'm not compelled to like rush through because I want to see what's going to happen next. I know what's going to happen next, and so for that reason why I'm just like, why am I doing this to myself? I don't, originally I wanted to read a classic, and I figured this would be the best one because I'd never read it before and it's super hyped and everything, but then I'm like, why? I need to be reading for me. And if that means that I don't read this or I don't read another classic, then hey, that's fine. So finally giving myself permission to put this away. But I'm not going to give it away just yet. I don't know if it's like the book hoarding in me or maybe the optimist that I'm like, maybe you'll want to one day. But for right now, no. Okay, last up. So I'm not going to count this as a DNF, but Death in the Family was a book that came out a few weeks ago, I believe. It is a family thriller mystery. Well, it's a thriller that revolves around a family and their secrets. And I actually saw this on Bookstagram. I didn't buy it because of Bookstagram, but I saw it on Bookstagram because one of the accounts who I follow and I trust their reviews gushed about this, and I was very, very excited to read it. So much so that I'm pretty sure I ordered it, or rather I got it the day that it came out, which I never do. In fact, I don't think I've done that since maybe when Harry Potter came out, and even then it wasn't like that midnight or, you know, when all of the craze was. But anyway, I was very excited to read this, and I got about not necessarily a fourth, maybe I got a page 100. So a little under a fourth of the way through, over a fourth of the way. I don't know. I didn't do math, but I started reading this, and it just wasn't hooking me. And I'm pretty sure it's because I'm just not in the mood for it. Again, I'm a mood reader, and I did start it when I was in the mood because it was dark and dreary and we had all of this rain going on. And because this takes place on a isolated island where a family owns a huge kind of not dilapidated, but they own a huge mansion and everybody gathered together on the weekend. Very Agatha Christie style, which again, totally up my alley. However, it just was not grabbing me in the way that I was hoping. Again, it's not to say that the writing is bad, but I think I just got a little bit of ADD while reading it. And so instead of harboring ill feelings about this, I decided that it's better that I just put it down, put it away. I'm sure the mood's gonna strike because, like I said, I'm still interested in reading this. And so when I do pick it back up again, there's a high possibility that I'll just start it all over again, just so that I can kind of refresh myself, because I'm sure, even though I'm 100 pages in, I'm sure I missed stuff just because my mind was wandering. I just wasn't in the mood. So, sorry. Anyway, so those are the books that I have. Luckily, there aren't too many of them. But that says a lot about how much of a mood reader that I am. It depends on my mood, and my mood is so fleeting that, I can be in the mood one day right before I pick it up, and then as soon as I get into it, I just change my mind, which I find happens a lot because, for example, with Ninth House and A Starless Sea, I was ready to read those immediately, and unfortunately, within the 2 days that I received the package, like I think I ordered them off Amazon, got Prime delivery, so we've got 2 days between them. Between then, when I ordered it and when I received it, I just lost interest. So doesn't take much for me to change my mind, which I guess is a good thing, and it's definitely a great thing for having an e-reader because you've got the instant gratification of being able to order and start a book immediately. But anyway, like I said, please let me know if you have any books that you're no longer interested in, or if you have related to me about the books that I've talked about. I'm willing to change my mind about things, but I do it all the time, so we'll see. Anyway, I hope you guys liked this video. Please like and subscribe if you did, and I'll talk to you guys next time. Happy reading. Bye!